Well, the RBA boss, Michele Bullock, she put an end to any hopes of an early interest rate cut this year, suggesting, as we just reported, we won't see one for at least 6 months. Let's be honest, a rate cut by November was always pie in the sky kind of stuff. Joining us live now is Chief Investment Officer at the Motley Fool, Scott Phillips. Scott, so she said a cut within 6 months is unlikely. I kind of feel, though, what she didn't say is that a cut might actually be a lot further away than that.
Pete, good morning. I liked your line about Treasurer monitoring the situation. That should be that clip should be on all your social media very soon.
That's
Mate,
nice.
That's nice. A lovely line. Look, Michele Bullock's got a challenge. What is really striking is that the RBA's kind of blinked. I'm a big fan of the RBA. Michele Bullock's doing a really good job. She speaks very nicely, very well, very clearly. And yet what they basically said yesterday is inflation's going to be higher than we thought, for longer than we thought, and so we're going to do nothing. And I thought that was really interesting because they've pretty much said we don't want to raise rates anymore. And look, no one wants them to, don't get me wrong. We'd all like to think that rates can come down, inflation can come down, and we can all have a pony. But the problem we've got is that inflation is going to now be on their numbers 3% until the end of next year. And only in mid-2026 will we get somewhere close to the midpoint on inflation. And that's exactly why she's saying no rate cuts. Short of, look, if there's an economic collapse around the world, then God forbid. But, they'll do what they need to do based on the circumstances at the time. But what she's effectively said is we're not going to have inflation anywhere near low enough for the best part of 2 years from here to really be in the right spot. Now, they still will probably drop rates as inflation comes down, but 1% quarterly reads in a row, 2% over 6 months, we're not getting anywhere near close to 3% just yet. Now, things could change. We hope they will, but that's the RBA's problem.
So I found this the most interesting part of the commentary yesterday is that shot at the Treasurers, where she said stronger outlook was fueled by, quote, ongoing spending and recent announcements by federal and state and territory governments. So how does Jim Chalmers bat that away?
It's not just Jim Chalmers either, mate. It's the state treasurers as well. The state debt combined is getting very close, or not very close, getting up towards the level of federal debt. So we've got to kind of keep one eye on the feds and one eye on the states because we have got some serious issues. Queensland government throwing money around like confetti coming up to an election. Again, I'll let people make their own political decisions, but lots of money being spent there, lots of money being spent in Victoria, lots of money being spent federally. The stage 3 tax cuts we've talked about so regularly. Ideologically, if you're in favour of them, great. No one with any serious economic credibility thinks we should have had a tax cut on the 1st of July this year. If it's warranted, fine, find a time, find a place for it. When you're fighting inflation, when it's higher than target and you're injecting money into the economy, doing nothing else to take money out of the economy. I've said many times, mate, this is not a political statement. I like Jim Chalmers, but there is nothing being done by the federal government of any significance to actually help on the fight against inflation, which makes his choice of the word monitoring and your response to it exactly right. They're doing zero to help. They're sitting back and watching, which, given all the tools and levers that a federal government, and again, I will say the states are adding to this as well, all the tools they have to use absolutely none of them and yet add more demand to the economy while the RBA is trying to slow things down is really, really hard to take.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've asked Jim Chalmers this a few times. Cameron Dick I spoke to as well about these energy handouts. I keep asking, is this inflationary? And they assure us it's not. It's been tested that it's not. It's like, well, how does that make sense? You got all this extra money that's going into the system, but and here you are, the RBA essentially confirming that. But anyway, we'll see where that goes. Maybe they were spooked by what happened in the US too. They didn't want to raise the rates because the US might have stayed too high for too long, Scott.
I think that's probably right. And look, that is absolutely the risk. They were probably not going to raise rates anyway. After the last 3 or 4 days on global markets, it was almost a lock. I don't do forecasts, but even I might have forecast that one. That being said, I don't think it's over necessarily. But given the RBA has effectively said, inflation's going to be higher and we're not going to do anything about it, hopefully for mortgage payers, but certainly for the economy, the RBA not planning to do anything about it.
Hey, Scott, good to see you as always. We'll chat to you soon.